White Sox fans, and welcome to another edition of White Sox Daily Live. My name is Ian Eskridge. I was fortunate enough to talk to what we are learning now is the former White Sox minor league hitting coordinator, Andy Barkett. He expounds on what happened, how he feels about his time that he spent here, and some guys to look out for in the future. Thanks for listening, and here's the conversation. Thank you.
Hey, Ian, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Andy?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Can't complain.
Oh, good. Can you hear me fine?
I can hear you well, yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
No problem. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So I got some unfortunate news from you the other day that you're not going to be retained to stay with the White Sox for 2024. Is there any particular reasons that you were given for that change?
Not necessarily. I guess, just Major League team really had a rough year, obviously. And offensively, the numbers in the big leagues weren't great. So they're making moves in the major leagues and retooling the whole hitting department, it seems like. That was really the reason I was given. It really wasn't anything performance-based or anything else besides, hey, we're looking for new voices on our major league staff, and we want cohesion with the minor leagues. And so I feel like they're going to try to, redo the hitting department there and so forth. So that was really what I was told.
So there have been reports coming out, obviously, as you mentioned, the major league staff was overhauled quite a bit. There have been reports that there were a lot of conflicting messages between the hitting coaches there. And I kind of felt like, from what I had seen with the minor league stuff, that there seemed to be a pretty consistent message from the guys that were down there. And I thought that, everything seemed like it was going pretty well down there. Is there anything in particular, performances that you were proud of that some of the guys that you worked with?
Yeah, I mean, I think, looking back, I've had some time to reflect this past week on the last few years. And, there's lots of guys I feel like I'm really proud of, number one, the development of Chris Johnson. I think that he's a really bright young hitting coach, and I kind of hate that he got caught up in the wins and losses game of baseball and having a rough year and so forth. I think he was impactful with the guys on the team, and I think he did a really good job. So definitely proud of his development. Cameron Seitzer as well, Nicky Delmonico, just Geraldo Olivares, who's a young hitting coach that came from the Dominican and came to the States this year. And so, from the coaching side, I saw those guys get a lot better the last couple of years, and I'm super proud of that. And, you kind of want to pass it along as you're given things in the game. Tim Hires really was a huge influence on me when I was in Boston for 2 years, taught me a ton about being a major league hitting coach. And I just took basically that program and implemented it with the White Sox, and from game planning to swing mechanics to drill packages. I'm really proud of the development of the coaches. Carlos Perez, I remember sitting down with him and having a conversation. Hey, you make great contact, but you don't really hit the ball for any power. How about we try, getting the ball in the air, and you got to be kind of careful who you say that to. But I remember having that conversation with him, and with Cam Seitzer, we all sat down, and Justin Jersheel in his office in Birmingham, and next thing you know, this kid's buying in, and he starts hitting the ball over the fence and has career high in homers and gets to play in the big leagues. Now, would he have gotten there without that conversation? It's possible. But I know, and so does Jersh and Seitz, that we had an impact on that young man that day. And so those stories like that nobody ever hears about or sees, or behind the scenes type of things. Romy Gonzalez, I know he had some injuries this year, but his development, I think, was really neat. He was somebody that was forgotten in the system, and really took off post-COVID when I became a part of the organization. As well, Lenin Sosa, here's a guy that was, really wasn't on the top prospect list with the organization. got with Charlie Romero and started working on some of the drill packages in the Dominican that we implemented, and started making some strides in his move to the ball. And next thing you know, this guy has a career year, ends up in the big leagues. So I feel like, would those guys have made it with or without me? Who knows, probably. But at the same time, it feels pretty good to know that you were a part of their journey and their development to the big leagues, and seeing them up there is really awesome. Berger, Jake Berger, I didn't spend, I know Chris Johnson spent a ton of time with him, and this guy was a first round pick and a great hitter, and would have been if I never would have spent any time with him. But I know just, having a couple conversations with him here and there along the way, I felt like was impactful. So yeah, there's lots of guys, I felt like I helped throughout the system, and I'm very proud of the work that I did there. And I wouldn't, if I were to look back and change anything, I don't think there's not one thing I think I would have done any differently as far as how I went about my business and how I worked with the players and the coaches there.
So the amount of tech that you brought in, I mean, considering the way that the White Sox developmental situation has been for years and years and been looked at as kind of lagging behind, with the implementation of the iPitch and everything that you brought in with that stuff, and with CJ and the biomechanics stuff, I feel like that kind of stuff has kind of taken an uptick with the organization. You want to expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I think that, I felt like on the minor league hitting side, especially, we've developed, and I actually told this to somebody today, that was interested actually in the job. I said, hey, we've built a nice little sports car that's ready to just hop in and drive. And so like whoever takes this job, I feel like, unless they want to completely redo things, there's a lot of cohesiveness right now within the strength and conditioning department, the biomechanics department. We have really kind of meshed all of that together. You spoke about the iPitch machine. We have iPitch machines at every level now. Charlie Romero, we had some issues with the automatic feeder in Kannapolis this year, but once they got it working in the second half, Charlie and I, Charlie, who's a veteran hitting coach, would tell me, man, this thing is really helpful to players. I can see it really helping our strike zone, management and recognition as we go through the season, especially with the young players and watching them learn and grow. And so, I'm super proud of what we were building there. I've learned a lot about biomechanics. I've learned a lot about how the body moves, and we have developed a system of teaching, or not teaching, but measuring force plate data, and to see how guys are using the ground and how much they're getting into their engine, which I call basically the back hip, and how much, and I call the brakes the front leg, and how they're using the brakes and so forth. And so we're able to measure that and say, hey, you're not holding your backside enough, and we have drill packages that we can attack with that. And so I feel like, again, when I got there was really none of that in place. And in the last 3 years, through help of my assistant this past year, Danny Santine, Devin DeYoung, just the rest of and the guys I've already mentioned, hitting coaches, we've kind of collaborated and really looked for ways to make it better. And I feel like we did. And so, I was taught a long time ago, whenever you go somewhere, you want to make it, if you're a player, a coach, heck, if you're working in a dentist office, you want to make that place better than you left it. And that's really kind of our job in life, no matter what we're doing, is to make an impact on people and an impact on the organization that you're working for. And in our case, obviously, we can impact the lives of young men. And I feel like that was something that we were really able to do, and we're continuing to do up until I was, told that I wasn't coming back.
One guy in particular, Oscar Colas, really seemed to struggle in the majors. And, I know that you had worked with him quite a bit on his pitch selection. And to me, watching his at-bats specifically this year compared to last, I felt like when the results didn't come right away for him, that he kind of reverted to trying to pull everything and not continue through the ball quite a bit. Does that seem like a pretty fair assessment of what was going on there? Because I know a lot of White Sox fans want to yell about Oscar Colas not being developed and things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, Oscar is a very talented young player with very little experience, and at the end of the day, being a major league hitter is something that's like holistic. Like, you can't just get there because you can hit a ball 450 feet and the ball hit, you have all this exit velocity and so forth. Like, there's so much more to it than that, and there's so much more to it component. You learn through at bats, and you learn through failure, and you learn through growth, and you learn through falling on your face in the minor leagues and picking yourself back up and grinding through 140 game seasons and the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows of that. And that's where major league hitters are developed. And Oscar really didn't have that luxury last year. He was able to go through a season and in his first year in the United States and get that type of experience, which was great. But then obviously now we were in a situation as an organization, or they were in a situation as an organization where they needed help immediately in the big leagues, and his talent level, they thought that they could give him a shot and he would be able to contribute. We thought, I think collectively, if you were to ask all of us in the minor leagues, I don't think we thought he was ready just yet. I think that he needed another year in the minor leagues to play and learn and fail, and learn about pitch selection, and learn about pitch metrics, and learn about, developing a game plan and approach every day to the pitcher and to the other team that you're facing. And I think, he probably learned all those lessons this year. I spoke with him many times when he was in AAA, and I feel like he really has come a long way. But yeah, he still has a long way to go. He's a young player with very limited experience and super talented yet. And a lot of upside, and there's still a lot of great baseball for him to play in his career. But man, it's hard to just come here from another country with limited number of at bats and all of a sudden, go to the major leagues and produce. It's not a very easy thing to do, and it's something that you don't see happen very often.
Yeah, that's one of the things I try and convey to people when people complain about about Oscar Colas's performance in the majors, is that more or less he missed like 2.5 years of playing competitive baseball, and to expect him to just show up in a year into the major leagues and just automatically start killing the ball all over the place was kind of lofty expectations. Can you tell us about some guys that you expect to take some big steps here in the next year or so?
Well, I mean, Brian Ramos I'm a huge fan of him and will continue to be. I think he's going to be a really good major league player. He's got great makeup. He can play the heck out of some third base, and this kid can really hit, and he's a winner. He's a winning baseball player. Same goes for Colson Montgomery, super talented, slow heartbeat, meaning nothing really fires him up or gets him too excited. He's got, ice in his veins type of guy. Terrell Tatum is a guy who's a later pick from my alma mater, NC State, and again a guy that really kind of bought into our program and has really developed his talent the last couple of years and winning Player of the Year. Super proud of his development and where he's come from. Obviously, Popeye Jose Rodriguez has got a lot of talent, and I think again a guy going through lots of at bats in the minor leagues, learning, failing, growing. And I think we're going to see a guy that can really make a step forward in the coming years to help the organization out. I think Jacob Gonzalez, the first-round pick from Ole Miss, even though he struggled in Kannapolis, we had a game plan and they still have a game plan. They're still working on it, I'm sure. But his swing is already taking some big-time strides in instructional league so far. And so, yeah, they have a nice young core of offensive players. I feel like that will help sustain the organization for years to come. They just need some time to develop. They're not really many of them are ready just yet,
Yeah. So obviously, with you going to the Dominican and working with some of those guys every once in a while, you see those guys that we don't get our eyes on at all. There's some particular guys that are coming over from the, within the last couple of months and in the future coming from the DSL that we should know about.
Yeah, Abraham Nunez is Junior is a pretty talented young man. There's a little guy, Mogollon, who can really swing the bat. He's got a bright future as well. Those are the two I'd say from this class. Everybody else is pretty young and needs another year down there. But those two guys, I think, can come over next year and probably get into the ACL and get playing. Ryan Burrows is a player with a lot of talent and was in the ACL this year. Young man, only 18 years old, and big upside there. So I would say those three from our Dominican program, as far as are three guys I would definitely keep an eye on, going forward.
So obviously you've got the last year you went and managed in the Dominican Winter League.
Yeah.
Is that in the plans for this year?
Last year, Dominican Winter League is very volatile when it comes to managers.
Yeah.
It's a 56 game season, I think 55 games, something like that. And, if you're not off to a good start, the manager gets fired. And so, it's very archaic in the Dominican as far as fire the manager, fire the pitching coach, fire everybody. It's just kind of how they do things down there. The fans are almost rabid at times and super passionate. And so, I played down there a long time, had a lot of success as a player, had some success as a manager, a few years back. And so, I'm not going back this year, not signed to go back anywhere. Will a manager get fired in Dominican this winter? 100% positive that will happen. Am I on a list to get called when that happens? Probably so. So, it's just one of those, I don't know yet type things in baseball that, I really have a lot of respect for the league. A lot of friends down there. The Dominican Republic means a lot to me. My family and I have spent a ton of time down there. So, if that were to come about, obviously we'd talk about it as a family and see if something that, that would fit. But anytime you're asked to manage in that league, for me, it's a huge honor. And so, I feel very blessed to be able to be considered. And if that would happen, then, that'll be great. It's a lot of fun.
I could imagine. I've only seen video of the Winter League down there, but it seems like all those games are just insane with bands walking around, lots of screaming. Any plans in the near future that you've got?
Not really. Just spend some time with family. My son's playing baseball at Stetson. I have a daughter playing soccer at Kennesaw State. So, just kind of, and then our youngest is playing volleyball right now. We're in the middle of a high school volleyball season. So just being home, being around family and obviously, looking at the phone and checking the MLB trade rumors and waiting to hear back from people. Cause obviously, looking for a job in baseball in 2024. So, that's really it.
Yeah, I got to imagine it's on the horizon. I'm just an outside observer, and I saw improvements in the system, so I don't see any reason why there's why that should not happen. Your virtual hitting school, I learned a ton. Just from the seminar, the webinars that you put on. Is there any plans to get that up and moving?
Yeah, I think, I was really enjoying doing that. And then I got the winter ball job last year in the Dominican. And, that is a full-time job times two. There's really, I thought I could go to Dominican and still try to manage this, but it was too hard to try to run that virtual hitting school and manage a baseball team at the same time. So I've been doing some, getting into the mental game as well as the swing part, and really kind of doing some motivational speaking lately. And it's been really neat to be able to connect with people that way and speaking to different organizations, not just in baseball, but, women's volleyball or a pharmaceutical sales team. I know a lot about winning championships and developing people. And that also, connects in different walks of life, not just in baseball. So yeah, the virtual hitting school is still something I think I might kind of dive back into and develop and use that in hand with being able to do some public speaking and motivational speaking, which is something I really enjoy.
Well, that's great. Well, I don't want to eat up too much of your time. Thanks so much for hopping on today, and best of luck in the future here. And I'm pretty sure that another gig's going to come your way. I don't think I have to hold out hope for that. It should be pretty soon, I would hope. So where can people find you on the internet if they're searching out for you?
Yeah, I think my Twitter is I think it's abarkett17, and baseballpros.net is the virtual hitting school. You can send me an email on there. It hasn't really been updated in a while, but I got some time on my hands, right? So I might have to kind of dive back into that, but that's basically the best two ways to contact me is either on that website. It's baseballprosacademy.com or baseballpros.net, or abarkett17 is the Twitter, whatever you call it, name. So yeah, those are the two ways they can find me. And I appreciate you guys, covering the hitting and your encouragement and your support over the last couple of years working for the White Sox. And like I said, it's a part of the book that I'm very proud of, and it was the first time I'd ever really, built and maintained a hitting program from scratch. And it was a great challenge. And it was something, a lot of relationships that I built that I'll cherish for a long time. And, I'll miss working with Tony La Russa. The last day I worked in Arizona, I was watching a game and got to sit with him, and I was taking notes on my phone as he was just talking away. And so there's some great memories, some great relationships, but it's obviously time to move on to the next chapter. And I wish the White Sox nothing but the best of luck, and the people that are there and the players, and we'll be rooting for them from afar.
All right. Well, hope you get back out there soon and start building some baseball players. Appreciate your time. Thanks so much, Andy. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
All right.